Leader of the third party.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Last week, the International Energy Agency released their World Energy Outlook report. The report is designed to be a handbook for policymakers at the COP26 climate change conference. It's long. However, what it found is that fossil fuel development is inconsistent with keeping climate change below 1.5 degrees Celsius. Fossil fuel expansion is inconsistent with avoiding disaster. The questions this morning in this chamber really show us that climate change is a public health emergency, and it will continue to affect every aspect of our society. Yesterday, this government announced their CleanBC roadmap to 2030. It included a new GHG cap on natural gas, or LNG, but made sure to include compliance pathways so that industry can get away with continuing to develop LNG. The Premier proudly proclaimed LNG as a bridge fuel. It is not. It is a fossil fuel with intensive greenhouse gas emissions, including methane. Through you, Honourable Speaker, to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, despite dire warnings, will this government allow future LNG development in British Columbia?
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the member for the question. British Columbians, like people around the globe, have experienced the effects of climate change in the last couple of years, and particularly this year, that exceed anything that they thought they would see, although climate scientists obviously knew what was coming. We're concerned about that as well in our government, and we understand we need to address the issue of climate change with great urgency. The member, the leader of the third party, worked with us in the previous Parliament to develop our CleanBC climate plan. I think we were all proud of that, but we know that we needed to design a roadmap that took us to our targets. We needed to close that loop, and we needed to up our ambition. We're proud of the roadmap that we released yesterday. It is significant. It contains measures across all sectors of society and the economy. They've been independently modeled to reduce emissions to meet our target. That includes mandating methane emission reductions in the oil and gas sector of 75% by 2030, and it includes a commitment, Honourable Speaker, to work with the sector, with oil and gas, with Indigenous nations, and with experts to design the measures that will take us to our 2030 sectoral target of 33 to 38% reduction in oil and gas emissions. The CleanBC roadmap is modelled including a 33% reduction.
Leader of the third party, supplemental.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I appreciate the Minister's response. However, it did not answer the question that I posed very clearly, which is, will this government allow future LNG development? I'm curious about a specific part of the roadmap as well, Honourable Speaker. The roadmap puts in place a cap on greenhouse gas emissions for LNG, but that cap is only for domestic use. That's interesting, given that this government has been intent on LNG for export. Through you, Honourable Speaker, to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, if LNG is developed for export, will it be exempt from the greenhouse gas emissions cap included in this government's climate plan?
Minister of Environment.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you again to the member for the question. The member apparently continues to try to find reasons not to believe that we're serious about meeting our climate targets, but I assure you that we are. The member has also incorrectly interpreted the roadmap. There is a cap on emissions from oil and gas use domestically, and there is a commitment to work with the oil and gas sector, with Indigenous nations, with experts, to put in place programs and policies to ensure that we meet the emission reduction sectoral target for oil and gas in BC. Honourable Speaker, the member keeps looking for a dramatic statement. I don't know of a more dramatic statement than outlining exactly the amount of emission reductions upstream, transmission and compression that we expect to achieve with this plan. It is clear we're committed to reducing emissions from the oil and gas sector.